Let's give it up for our next comedian, the Notorious BFG. He's working his camera. He's the Notorious cameraman, and he's also the Notorious BFG. Oh, hold on. Technical difficulties.
Yeah, like with the mic.
He'll come eventually.
There's a light eventually.
The Notorious BFG. Here he comes, folks. Let's hear it for him.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, I know you're all confused. You hear Notorious BFG and you got this Mr. Magoo looking motherfucker coming up here trying to make somebody laugh. Hey, happy birthday to me. Saturday I turned 67 years old. I know. Thank you very much. But you know, my age, I don't get laid very much. The most exciting thing about having sex at my age is sneaking out without paying for it. But I did have something interesting going on. Before we got here today, I ordered something from Amazon. I ordered a chicken and an egg because I wanted to finally figure out which one comes first. And sure enough, they came in the same box. So fuck you, Jeff Bezos. That mystery continues. I'm coming up here. I did hear a weird thing on the news. Did anybody hear this? They're using the herpes virus to treat cancer. They're actually injecting it into the cancer cells. The herpes virus. That made me think about all those women I screwed in the 80s. They may never get cancer. You're welcome. Hey, I'm single again. I've been married 3 times, but I've never been divorced. As ever. My first wife died from eating poison mushrooms. My second wife died from eating poison mushrooms. My third wife, anybody have a guess?
Poison mushrooms.
No, fractured skull. She wouldn't eat the fucking mushrooms. Actually, on October 6th, I will have been married to a beautiful, wonderful woman for 32 years. Thank you. And now, anybody want to know the secret of being married for 32 years? No, nobody does. But I'm going to tell you anyway. First off, you find somebody who, when they walk into the room, you just get thrilled. They must have a sense of humor, and they must be willing to accept you for your faults. And then you hope the 3 of them never actually meet each other. No, but I kid. But we do fight on occasion. The last time we had a fight, she told me that if I was going to grow as a person, that I needed to learn how to embrace my mistakes. Embrace my mistakes. So I gave her a big hug. That didn't go over very well. So I knew I was in trouble. So I decided to do something drastic. And I went and I had "I love you" tattooed on my dick. Yeah. She wasn't impressed. She thought I was just trying to put words in her mouth. Oh, yeah. Well, that was the second tattoo I had, because I have another tattoo down here that says, warning choking hazard, 14 and up only. Whoa. I thought that was good. But I'm a fairly generous person. Last year I donated a kidney to a 14-year-old girl. Yeah, she was very appreciative. Her family was extremely grateful. But the hospital kept giving me a hard time. They wanted to know where I got it. I wanted to tell you now a little bit about my family. They're kind of an interesting group. We'll start with my grandmother. My grandmother used to brag that she once gave Albert Einstein a hand job. She called it her stroke of genius. I'll tell you, Grandma lived to be 95 years old and she never needed glasses. Always drank straight from the bottle. And my grandfather, when my grandmother eventually passed away, my brother and I decided he was a little depressed, so we got him some female company for the night. So we went out and got a sex worker, took it up to his apartment, and he said, "Hey guys, who's your beautiful friend?" And he said, or she said, "My name is Angelique, and I'm here to give you super sex." And he thought for a second, he stretched, he kind of looked up at the counter and said, "Well, okay, I'll take the soup." They were like that one. Okay, my dad had an interesting thing. After having 4 children, he decided to have a vasectomy. So he went to the hospital, he had a vasectomy, but unfortunately there was a complication and they had to remove both his testicles. Yeah, both his testicles. So it was going to be a little dramatic when they woke him up. They were worried about it. So when they woke him up, they said, "Sir, we're sorry there was a complication during your operation. We had to remove both your testicles." And he looked kind of shocked and said, "Both of them?" And they said, "Yeah." And he said, "Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to sue you. I'm going to sue the hospital, but first I'm going to break your jaw." And the doctor laughed and said, "You ain't got the fucking balls." Now my mother, she was a devout Catholic. I mean, a devout Catholic. She wanted to put the fear of God in us like crazy. So when I was about 14, she came to me and said, "Remember, if you're ever going to touch yourself down there, remember God is watching you." And at 14, when you kind of want to get some privacy and relieve some tension, that's something you have to worry about, looking over your shoulder. Until I realized it was only my Uncle Pete. Oh. Now, back in that little town in Pennsylvania that I grew up in, there wasn't that much to do because it was in the 60s, and I was just too little to be a hippie and too young for Vietnam. So, we didn't have much to do. So we played hide and seek, and there was one kid who was really good at it. And one day, no one could find him. No one could find him that night. The next day, unfortunately, they found him. He had suffocated in an abandoned refrigerator. Yeah, it's kind of sad, but at least you got to admire him for going out a winner. Oh, gross. My sister is a librarian, and one of the things that makes her crazy is that when people come in and borrow books on suicide, they never seem to bring them back.
Well, there you go.
And my sister also had a cat, but then she had a baby who was allergic to the cat, so she had to put the cat down. I said, "That must have been terrible for you." And she said, "Yeah, it was, until I realized the cat was sleeping 20 hours a day. What's another 4? My wife has a sister, my sister-in-law, and that sister had a child who was acted really weird in a demonic sort of way. And so she hired a priest to do an exorcism. And it worked. Kids calmed down. But then my sister-in-law didn't pay the priest. So her daughter got repossessed. Now I'm going to try one of these. This one hasn't worked in a while. But I'll see how you like it. When my wife and I were having our first child, we went to the hospital. She was in labor. And she's getting the ice chips and all, rub the stomach and all that. And all of a sudden, she started going, "Cannot, can't, do not, don't, wouldn't, would not, wouldn't, could not, couldn't." And she kept repeating that over and over, and I started to freak out. So I went to the nurse and said, "Hey, listen to my wife." And she, "Wouldn't, would not, cannot, can't, do not, don't." So what's wrong? What's wrong? Do we need to get the doctor? She says, No, sir, just relax. She's only having contractions. All right, so somebody got that. Well, I'm going to leave you with some philosophy. My dad once told me that if you build a man a fire, you keep him warm for the day. But if you set that man on fire, you keep him warm the rest of his life. And isn't it a shame that you have to live your whole life until you find out if you've been murdered? And any of it here just drinking water, just plain old water? No. If you do, you better get it filtered, because I never drink water. because fish fuck in it. Well, I am Notorious BFG. I go by Notorious BFG, bald, fat guy. It kind of fits. I don't understand why. I may be being too hard on myself because I have a flat stomach. It's just that the L is silent. Oh, another thinker. Okay, but really the reason I changed my name as I got up here to Notorious BFG is that I'm a little embarrassed. My first name is Ed, E-D, and those of you who watch TV, and some of you males out there know that ED is now synonymous with the male disaster known as erectile dysfunction. You know, trying to put the marshmallow in the coin slot, it just doesn't fit. I didn't want to go through the rest of my life with named after a serious disease and an embarrassing disease. Now I know how my sister chlamydia feels. Well, I get a lot of groans tonight. That's something else. Well, I'll tell you what. I am on Instagram. I am on YouTube. I am on Facebook under Notorious BFG. But I'm most proud of something I just finished and I just got posted. I'm very proud. I hope you check it out. It's my sex tape. Yeah. It is a fabulous one-man show. Thanks. I'm Notorious BFG. Oh. In January, I have to change it from bald fat guy to bald fat grandpa. I'm going to be a grandfather. Thanks very much. Thank you, Brian.
Notorious BFG! Oh, wonderful. Oh, don't die. Let's not end it there. That would be a tragic tale.
I'm a senior citizen and a fall risk, so...
He was trying to get that lawsuit money. We were going to work for it. No, round of applause for not falling over. He had some suicide jokes in his material, which does hit a little close to home for me. I actually have a cousin who was a mime, and I say was because he killed himself, which is shocking for our whole family and left us all wondering, why didn't he say anything?